I had to learn that I was talking about the wrong thing because my experience wasn't matching what I was speaking about. Thus, it taught me that I had to be uncomfortable, to be embarrassed about my growth and my trial and my journey. So my journey taught me that me speaking about what I haven't experienced is not valid enough. It's not valid because it's not my own life. Yes, I can read books. Yes, I can read quotes. Yes, I can read from other people's experiences. But what have I been through to recognize that what I'm speaking about, I'm actually doing? See, I had to learn, I had to do to talk about what I've overcame. For today, we're going to be speaking about why we should stop talking about things that we're not doing that we're not doing and or even trying or even experiencing. Oftentimes, what we experience is the best lesson because now we can present the lesson as the teacher. And see, the teacher is only experiencing, the teacher is only speaking from what he has experienced. I've experienced something that has changed my life. I have experienced something that brought more clarity in everything that I'm doing. Before we dive in on the topic today, make sure you hit the subscribe, make sure you like it, make sure you leave a review on how this topic will help you in your life. The first point I want to hit on is how to start with your first step. See, when I started my first step, I didn't understand my first step was me trying to run a marathon. I didn't understand that I had to break it down step by step, moment by moment, day by day to learn and become and achieve everything I put my mind to. I didn't know me starting was going to be the most difficult thing there was because I didn't know where to begin. And when I began my journey back in 2020, I was doing real estate. As I was doing real estate, there were so many different lessons within the industry that I thought I can do every single thing. I remember I had paid for this one. I was doing real estate and I also paid for this one course called surplus funds. And when I did this, I'm thinking, okay, it's the same concept as real estate, just a different name. Surplus funds is like a tax lien deed where people. I'm not really for sure on it. I'm not even for sure on it. So I'm not even about to speak on it because I didn't even dive into the knowledge. I can't speak on it. I bought the course because it was related to real estate. Yet real estate was something I was focusing on, and I couldn't manage my time and perfect my craft because I was worried about too many different things. Yes, when I took the first step, I started to believe in everything I was doing. Yet it taught me that the importance of focusing on one thing will be the key to my growth. My first step was so many steps. I didn't know how to manage and control what the outcome presented. See, the outcome presented nothing because I wasn't focused on one thing. The one thing that I needed to be focused on was real estate. See, me learning that I didn't have the experience, I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the education to understand how to tie real estate and surplus together when it was just me by myself. My one step became overwhelming because my one step led me in a place where I wasn't taking action. I wasn't making calls. I wasn't calling nobody. I wasn't doing anything because I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know where to understand. Furthermore, it taught me you can't do everything if you haven't mastered one thing. You can't focus on multiple things if you haven't focused on yourself. At that time, back in August of 2020, I was learning more about myself and everything I wanted to accomplish. I knew real estate was a industry that can create wealth, but I didn't understand what wealth was. I didn't even recognize I didn't recognize what wealth was because I didn't understand it. See, here's the thing about my experience is that I can't be wealthy if I'm not working on myself. I had needed to work on myself to learn that I need to become the person to control and gain and experience something that I've never experienced before. Now, mind you, I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm from a small town called Little Rock, Arkansas, and it's not necessarily that small, but it's not as big as California, right? And when I was in Arkansas, the only thing that we was talking about was how to survive day to day, how to survive month to month. We wasn't talking about generational wealth. I didn't even know what generational wealth was. I didn't even know what wealth was. I didn't even know what becoming rich was. I'm not rich now. I didn't understand none of that. I didn't understand none of that. So then when I started to understand there was more out here via real estate, via surplus funds via more education, more experience, I'm like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. It's not necessarily I'm doing something wrong, but it's all I know. This is all I know. Surviving month to month, surviving day to day, living paycheck to paycheck. That's all I know. That's all I knew and understood. Yet it taught me, just because you understand something and been around this your whole entire life doesn't mean it can't change. Doesn't mean it can't change. What it does mean is that it can evolve if I evolve from the person I am today. What does that even mean? My first step was so overwhelming because I'm thinking I'm gonna be a millionaire within a month's time frame. Me not being a millionaire showed me that my first step was like, oh, you have to believe first. You have to believe in every step that you're doing to understand the step that you're walking into is for you. It can't be for you if you're not trying. See, the first step identified the amount of belief that I have to even try to figure things out. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to cold call. I didn't know how to talk on the phone. I didn't know how to understand people's problems. Even though I didn't understand how to understand people's problems, I still put myself out there in uncomfortable positions. See, situations teaches you that you either are experienced or you need to gain the knowledge to understand what's going on. It prepared me to understand. It prepared me to learn. It prepared me to walk into my next step. See, my next step was my first step was me seeing that there was more, me believing that there was more. The next step that I took after my first step was identifying what do I want to focus on. You can't change your life. I learned that I can't change my life if I'm not focusing on one thing at a time, one task at a time, one education at a time, one knowledge at a time. I learned that even though there's a lot of information, I never knew where to begin because there were so many things talking about so different things. I thought I needed to learn everything to become wealthy. See, wealthy is a terminology I can't really describe right now because I'm not that. However, I am working towards that. I am working and building my confidence to achieve everything that I have my mind to. I believe that first step turned into my next 20 steps because my next 20 steps came from my experience. My experience is preparing me to continue to step and continue to walk that path and to go along that journey. See, the next point I really want to hit on is to break it down into smaller points. Smaller tasks. It's to break it down to smaller tasks. I didn't understand me learning where to begin and why beginning at this place is so important because it taught me patience. It taught me patience. How you are supposed to break it down to smaller pieces so you don't overwhelm yourself. I was overwhelming myself because I'm thinking there's so much information out here in this world. How can I go by learning them? How can I go by implementing them? How can I go by trying them? How can I go by being successful? See, success wasn't a terminology that I was used to because nobody even talked about it. I didn't hear people speak about what success was. Success wasn't described because I didn't know who I was. Success wasn't mentioned because I didn't even know me. Success was confused because I didn't put the time into myself. See, life happens as it's happening for us, and as it's happening for us, it's teaching you, it's taught me what I'm becoming and why. See, when I broke the steps down when I broke all the steps I needed to do into smaller tasks, it made me prepare patience. It made me develop more patience that I even thought that would come from this, because my first step not only turned into my next 20, but it backtracked from that. My first step led to my second step. My second step led to my third step. My third step led to my fourth. My fourth step led to my fifth. See, I didn't understand there was a process to change in life when changing in life was never mentioned. How do we learn something if we've never been aware of it? I had to change what I was learning. I had to change what I was watching. I had to change what I was consuming, because what had my ear had my attention, because I wasn't aware of what I can become. I didn't understand who I was. I didn't know myself, nor did I even see more. Seeing more is understanding that you have to learn who you are. I had to learn who I was to become the person I don't even know, or the person I don't recognize, or the person I've never experienced before. So now when I began to start making videos, the videos I was making, it wasn't valid because it wasn't from my experience. I'm thinking if I read from another person's story, if I read from another person's book, if I read another person's quote, I'll sound more credible. I didn't understand what credibility was until I began to take the next step along my journey. Credibility is saying your experience is what makes you the person that you are today. My experience is what makes me the person I am today, because I've been through my growth. I'm going through what I'm talking through. See, I stopped talking about it and started doing what I wanted to do, because as I'm doing it, what I'm speaking about makes more sense because it's from my experience. My experience is teaching the lessons that's meant to be presented when I least expect it. And I least expect it because this wasn't something that I never learned about. I had to change what I was learning. I had to change what I was consuming. I had to change what I was listening to understand that there's more out here. I didn't believe more out here because I didn't see no results. I didn't see no results for 18 months. It took me 18 months just to close one real estate deal. Even though it closed, I still didn't believe that it closed. I still didn't believe that it closed because it took this long for it to be final, for it to be finalized. Just because I didn't believe and put the work in like I was supposed to put it in, my growth was slowly developing because I started to break every task down rather than trying to do it all at once. Me trying to do it all at once made me overwhelmed. It made me stressed out. It made me depressed. It made me feel like the world was on top of my shoulders because the world wasn't changing and evolving like I thought it was supposed to grow. Like I thought it was supposed to change. I thought it was supposed to evolve. Thus, it not evolving around my life, around my world, taught me that patience is the key to your success and development. Patience was the key to my growth and my development. Not only was I developing every day, I started developing because I began to take small steps towards my big task that was broken down into smaller pieces. Just because it's a big task doesn't mean I can't think about it. Just because I'm thinking about something doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. Just because I'm going to do it doesn't mean I'm going to be great at it. I have to give myself grace to say just because you're not good at something doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Why? Because your preparation builds your confidence. And your confidence builds your consistency. And your consistency develops the belief within yourself. I didn't know what belief within myself was because I lost all my confidence when I told my ACL. When I told my ACL, I had to rebuild the muscle. I had to train my mind. I had to train what I told myself. Not just me, but my therapist. My therapist was guiding me along the healing journey. I didn't understand that healing journey was me getting around people that broke down a big goal, big task into smaller steps that I needed to do every single day behind the scenes. See, me working on the small tasks every single day prepared me to speak about what I've been through. See, what you go through is the best lesson because it's your experience. Before I get to my next point, if you haven't left a review yet, please leave a review. Leave a review down below on how you are going to stop talking about what you haven't experienced yet. Leave a review and comment below. Leave a review by commenting below. Next point I want to hit on is how to clarify your goal. Mind you, when I started back in 2020, my goals were not clear. I didn't have nothing clear to my mind because I didn't know what clarity was. Nonetheless, it taught me that clarity comes from you understanding yourself. I had to learn who I was. I had to learn who I was becoming to accept everything that I've been through. See, I can't be the person without identifying my experiences. See, my experiences is the best teachers, the best lesson, because they're my stories. It's my life. I know what I've been through. I also know what I've been suppressing my whole entire life. So how do I go from not suppressing my emotions to communicating and understanding how I'm feeling? I'm feeling some type of way I'm feeling a way for a particular reason. It's just not here for nothing. It's here for a reason. When I was growing up, I remember I used to be a crybaby. I remember I used to cry a lot. My mama used to tell me, son, quit crying. My brothers used to tell me, you a crybaby. I'm crying for expressing my feelings. Are you serious? So just imagine as a kid being told that you're a crybaby, being told to suck it up. I'm suppressing everything that I've been through. So now, in order for me to grow and identify who I am, I have to go back in time. I have to experience what I've already dealt with to overcome it. As I began to overcome it from my divorce taught me that pain is real, but pain is where it sparked. Pain is where you grow. Pain is the lesson that helps you heal when you least expect it. See, it took me to have a divorce. It took me to have my heart broken, to understand that my heart can be replenished. As it's replenished, it's a new identity because I'm healing from the past that I've been through. Not only the past, but the experiences that I overcame. When I learned that, I'm like, pain happens to everybody, but not everybody deal with what they go through. Thus, it's a lesson that speaks about your experience. My experience came from what I've been through, and I can't read that in the book because I went through this. I can't read that from a quote because I experienced it. Experience is the best teacher because you are the one telling your story. As I'm telling my story, I knew I wasn't the only one, and as I began to understand I wasn't the only one, we all go through hard and tough times, yet the hard and tough times is what weighs us down. It's weighing us down, we don't think we're good enough. I didn't think I was good enough to become better than I was. I didn't believe that I can walk into my greatness because my greatness was so confusing. I didn't know where to begin and how to take the first step to break down big goals into small tasks. See, there's a process behind the madness, and the madness was not discovered until I went through my divorce. My divorce taught me that everything that you go through, you are growing through to become the person that you are today. And as you're becoming the person that you are today, your stories hit more because it's something that you have experienced. How I started to begin to clarify my goals because I didn't see no results within 18 months. I didn't see nothing. I didn't even know I was doing anything right. And to be all honest, I didn't even close the deal. It was my business partner, Dylan Brown. He closed the transaction. He closed that deal. And I was so blown away from it because it happened to me. It happened to me, and I didn't even believe I can be the one. I didn't believe I can be the one that can accomplish a goal this big. I just forgot about the steps. I forgot about communicating with the homeowner. I forgot about speaking and constantly following up. I forgot about the process. I forgot about the journey because the reward wasn't in front of me the day of. The reward wasn't in front of me the week or the following week. The reward wasn't in front of me the following month. Why is this so important to recognize? Because your reward will never be present to you until you go through the steps, until you go through the process, until you put yourself out there every single day. I can be honest. I was not putting myself out there every single day because I didn't have the confidence. My confidence was lost because nothing was coming from this. I'm thinking I'm just wasting my time. I'm thinking I'm just wasting my energy. Not knowing this is part of the process. Not learning, identifying the processes will prepare you to hold the success that you're walking into. Not only did I take the first step to begin, I started to break down the big goals to smaller steps to understand what this was. I had to learn and recognize your goals will be here. Yet if you don't learn yourself, your goals will never come to life. That's what I had to learn. I had to learn that even though I wasn't clear with my goals, how can I become clear? I take that one step. I break the big goal and I reverse engineer from the end to the beginning and understand, okay, what is my goal now? What am I trying to hit now? The goal I'm trying to hit now is speak from my experiences. So how can I do that? The best way I do it is by identifying the topic that I want to speak about today is stop talking about things that you haven't experienced, right? The points I want to hit on is start with your first step, break down into smaller steps, break down your big goal into smaller steps, and then clarify your goal. I can't do all that if I'm not comfortable with the person I am today. See, the person I am today was built from my experience. And my experience is helping me grow and propel to the version of myself I can't even see or recognize. Why? Because there's a process behind the madness. The madness is you putting time into yourself. The process is you taking one step every single day towards your goal. You have to be clear and have clarity on everything that you want to accomplish, because if you're not accomplishing anything, you don't have no clarity. You don't have, your goals are not properly being met because what you're meeting is bare minimum. What I was doing back in 2020 was bare minimum because I'm thinking I'm doing everything right. I'm just not seeing no results. Or I just wasn't consistent enough. I just didn't do the work more often and let the work reward me when it was time. I stopped too soon. I stopped too many times. You can't keep stopping and hoping that success falls into your lap when you haven't worked for your journey. That's why it's so important to identify who you're becoming, because when you identify who you become, your growth is inevitable, it's unstoppable, because you grow from your experiences. I grew from my experiences, and my experiences is teaching me and showing me and demonstrating the importance of the journey. If you enjoyed this video and really got value from this, make sure you leave a review in the comments letting me know on how you are going to stop talking about things that you haven't experienced.